Hey Family Venture, this is Sam, and today we're continuing our Better Together teaching series. And in this series, we've been looking at this idea of what it means for us to be the church and looking at these one another statements throughout the New Testament. And today we are looking at this statement that says we are called to honor one another. Do you guys remember those, the MasterCard commercials? They had a whole series of commercials a few years back, and they were the priceless commercials. And I remember one of them went something like this: 2 tickets to the big game, $200. Parking, $25. 2 jerseys, $150. Sodas and hot dogs, $50. A day at the ballpark with your kid, priceless. Right? And what this commercial is talking about is that the value was not in the hot dogs or the parking or the jersey, but the value was in the memory, in that time that you got to spend with your child. And for all of you who have kids who are getting older, you're like, oh yes, I completely understand that. Because that time goes quick and those memories are valuable and important, and you can't put a price on the special moments you get to have with your kid. And so, but all of us have things that are valuable, that are especially important to us, that may not be valuable to anyone else. Maybe it's some family pictures that come from generations, maybe your great-grandparents or your grandparents, and they're important to you, they're special to you, not because they have great financial value or worth, but because they're precious to you. Or maybe it's some memorabilia. Maybe it's you went to a ticket. You have a ticket from a sports game or an event or a theater production that was a really special or significant time, and you keep that thing. Maybe you even put it in a plaque because it's that important to you. Or maybe you have a jersey that's signed by a professional athlete, and you keep that in a place of prominence in your home because you want everyone to see that. I remember as a kid, I used to collect baseball cards. And I collected cards like in the late 80s, so none of my cards are worth anything today. They're all just, they're worth nothing. But to me, I loved the San Francisco Giants. And I would take all my Giants players, all the cards that were on the Giants, and I'd put them in special sleeving, special casing. These cards were worthless. Like the only thing they were good for was maybe putting in your spokes on your bike to make motorcycle sounds. I mean, these were worthless cards. They're probably worth a nickel today, but I would put them in a special casing because for me, they were incredibly valuable because I was in love with the San Francisco Giants. And today we're looking at this one verse, Romans 12, verse 10, and it says, honor one another above yourselves. Honor one another above yourselves. And this word honor is what I've been describing. The Greek word honor, it's time, and what it means is something that has incredible value and worth. It has a perceived value and worth to the person who sees it. It's the value and worth that's in the eye of the beholder. The rest of the world may look at this thing and say, this is not valuable. But for me, I perceive this as incredibly valuable and worthwhile. It has a great price. And he says that this is the way that we are to view one another in the church. We are called to honor one another, to see each other as valuable, as worthwhile, as priceless. That is the way we are to look at one another. In fact, we're to value, to honor one another, even above ourselves. So what does this mean? What does this look like? Because we don't use this word honor in this way very often. I think the best way that I can maybe try to describe it is, imagine if on Sunday morning to Family Venture, or maybe in your small group, you had a person, a superstar, a celebrity show up. Right? What if Oprah shows up, or LeBron James, Clint Eastwood? I mean, you fill in the blank. Whoever that person is, maybe you're an A&M fan. Jimbo Fisher shows up, and you're like, how am I going to treat this person? Right? I'm going to pull out all the stops to try to honor this person. Right? I'm going to show them a special seat. Hey, what do you need? How can I help you? Can I get something to eat? Can I get something to drink? Whatever was on the schedule for that day, I've thrown it out the window. I'm like, I had lunch with my family. Oh, no, whatever. I'm going to spend time with LeBron. We're going to hang out together. I'm going to spend I want him to feel welcome. I want him to feel cared for. I want him to feel special. I'm going to show him around. I'm going to do everything I can to make him feel valuable, to make him feel important, right? This is the idea that Paul's talking about in Romans 12. This is what it looks like to honor one another. Now, when it comes to celebrities and it comes to superstars, oftentimes we're honoring those kind of people because I'm thinking about what can I get out of this? I'm going to have a great story. I can tell all my friends about the day that I hung out with LeBron or I hung out with Clint Eastwood. I hung out with Oprah. I can tell them that story. Or maybe even better, LeBron will like me and he'll want to hang out with me again. Or maybe they'll give me tickets to a game, or they'll give me a backstage pass to a filming, and I can go and I can hang. Like, these are all the things that I think about when I'm honoring a celebrity or a superstar. And it's really motivated around selfishness. What can I get out of this? But when we're called to honor one another as a church, it's not about what can I get out of it, because we're just all normal, everyday folks. How do I honor other people? Do I treat people like that who don't have anything to give me in return? How do we treat those kind of people? How do we honor each other as a church? And so that's what I really want us to talk about. What does it look like? What does it look like for us to value each other, to honor each other, to treat each other with respect, in fact, to honor each other even above ourselves? What does that look like? So I've got a few questions, and I'd love for you to kind of think about and discuss, talk about, whether it's in your small group or maybe with your spouse or wherever you're meeting. So first question is this: how has someone gone out of their way to treat you with special honor at some point? Is there a time that someone's done that for you? And how did that feel? How was that for you? The second question is this: is how do you go about honoring people who irritate you? Right? Last week we talked about this idea that we are called to be patient with one another, and that there's gonna be people in the church that bother me and irritate me. So how do I go about honoring people who are really hard for me? What does that look like? How do I do that? The third thing is this: how do you honor people and still maintain boundaries? How do you maintain healthy boundaries for yourself and still go about honoring people? And the last question is this: is how do you think Family Venture and Riverbend would be different if we treated each other with honor in even a greater way than we already do? How would Riverbend, how would Family Venture be different? So I'd love for you guys to discuss that. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you have some great conversation today. All right, have a good week.